My name is Li Zhaodi. My parents abandoned me after giving birth to my younger brother. My adoptive mother found me and asked me my name. She angrily said, "What, Zhaodi? You will be called Lu Xingnan from now on." People in the village said that my adoptive mother found a child bride for my brother. My mother said that it was winter when she found me. I was still wearing short-sleeved shirts and shorts, and a pair of slippers that obviously didn't fit my feet. My whole body was frozen red and purple. I only had one breath left. My mother was in a bad temper. She looked around me and then cursed. I don't know who did such a rotten thing. They were willing to abandon their own daughter. So I followed my mother to her home. That was the first time I saw my brother. He was lying on the bed looking at me. I didn't say anything, just turned over and asked my brother what he was doing. My mother patted my brother. I stood there terribly scared. I was afraid that he didn't like me and that he would ask my mother to drive me away. Fortunately, he didn't say anything, neither agreed nor refused, so I stayed at my mother's house. Who knew that the next day, there were a lot of gossips in the village, saying that Lu Meihong had found a child bride for his lame son. Yes, his son's leg was so lame that he would definitely not be able to marry in the future. If I were a mother, I would be anxious. My mother rushed out with a broom. If anyone dared to gossip again, I would tear his mouth apart. If you don't believe it, you can try it. Since then, no one in the village has said that I am my brother's child bride. When my mother was not around, I also heard a lot of rumors, but it didn't matter to me. Later, my mother took me to register my household registration, and my name changed from Li Zhaodi to Lu Xingnan. My mother said that boys are better than girls. My mother was always busy at home during the day. My mother took care of the 1/3 acre of land. He left at 6 or 7 in the morning and was busy until 8 or 9 in the evening before returning home. The 3 meals a day at home fell on my head. At that time, I was not as tall as the earthen stoves in the countryside. I would put a stool under my feet when cooking. My brother was 16 years old that year. I heard from my mother that my brother fell from the tree because he was greedy for fun when he was a child. At that time, the family was poor and there was no time for treatment, so my brother's legs were disabled. Not long after, my mother wanted to send me to elementary school, and dormitory 408 started gossiping again. "Meihong, you said that you brought him back, but why did you send him to school? Look at the girls in our village, which one has been sent to school? Isn't it true? If it was my own daughter, it would be fine. But if I picked up a girl, what's the need for her to study?" My mother had a cold face and said, "It's none of your business." She took my hand and went into the house and slammed the door. These chattering women are really annoying. My mother stared at me at the dinner table. "I sent you to school, but you must study hard. When you have a promising future, you must repay me and support me in my old age." I nodded heavily. After school every day, I went to the river to pick pig grass, and then went home to cook. At that time, there was always endless work in the fields, such as transplanting rice, spraying pesticides, weeding, etc., and these jobs naturally fell on my mother's head. I finally understood why my mother had such a bad temper. All the burdens of the family fell on her shoulders, which made her breathless. But even so, Mom would buy me a popsicle in the hot summer, and I would share half with your brother. "Mom, you eat first." I put the popsicle next to her mouth. She snorted coldly and said, "I don't like this thing. It's just to deceive you kids." Mom said this to my brother, and she also said this. In the end, all the popsicles went into my stomach. At night, I successfully had a stomachache. In the middle of the night, Mom carried me over a mountain and came to the barefoot doctor's house in the town. Mom snorted coldly, and I knew that I had eaten too much popsicle and had a stomachache. I pinched the corner of my clothes and lowered my head. "Don't shout for food when the popsicle seller comes in the future." Mom pouted dissatisfiedly. "Next time you come to town, I will buy you a cone. They all say that cones are better than popsicles. In our village, I don't know if the popsicles sold by the old man are not clean." At the end, he said that I was not destined to be a princess, but I had princess syndrome. How could I be fine if I ate that popsicle? In September, when the school started, my mother really sent me to school. I was particularly fascinated by the smell of ink from new books. This seemed to be a smell of knowledge, a smell of learning, and this smell made me unable to stop. I was 1 semester later than my classmates, and naturally fell behind in schoolwork. I opened the textbook for the 2nd semester of the 1st grade of elementary school. There were many new words in it that I didn't know. Whenever I have time, I always look for our class monitor. She is a little girl who often wears pigtails. She has round eyes and a dimple when she smiles. She always carefully marks the pinyin for me, and teaches me how to read the word. The teacher seems to like students like me who are not ashamed to ask questions. The midterm exam results came out. I got 99 in Chinese and 100 in math. I rushed back with the test paper. Before I reached the door of my house, I started shouting, "Mom, what are you shouting for?" Mom asked impatiently. "Mom, look." I handed over the test paper. After Mom looked at the test paper, her expression eased a little. Aunt Xia from next door interrupted. This is only the first grade of elementary school. If you give this test paper to me, I can get a perfect score. What's more, you didn't even get 100 in Chinese. If you ask me, your brain is not as useful as a boy's. If Ding Fan's leg hadn't been broken, you wouldn't have the chance to study. You talk too much. Why so much? Mom glared at me. Aunt Xia is okay. Study hard in school, but don't let my money go to waste. At the dinner table, Mom cooked a braised pork, putting the fat into my brother's bowl, and the remaining lean meat into my bowl. Why are you so squeamish? A 50-cent ice cream will give you diarrhea, and this fat will make you want to vomit. You're really hard to please. I lowered my head and ate the rice in the bowl silently. After dinner, my brother stayed at the table for the first time and told me about the past. I only then learned that my brother ranked third in the county in the high school entrance examination, and it would be no problem for him to go to the key high school in the city. But after he fell, my brother locked himself in the room and didn't see anyone. Even Mom couldn't persuade him. Study hard and seriously. After a long time my brother said this. I nodded and secretly swore in my heart that I would study hard. Every day after school, my brother would always wait for me at the dining table. While Mom was in the intervals between cooking, my brother would take me to preview the next lessons. With his help, I finally caught up with the progress of my classmates and made up for the missed semester's homework. My brother's help lasted for 6 years. At a parent-teacher meeting after the 6th grade midterm exam, my mother stood on the podium. I could see that my mother, who usually spoke carelessly and with a loud voice, was at a loss standing on the podium. She lowered her head in embarrassment, and then rubbed her hands. In fact, there was nothing to say, but my daughter was quite serious about studying. She didn't need to be urged at home and she would study on her own. My mother was afraid of saying something wrong, so after she finished speaking, she looked at me on the stage with a flushed face. I saw a hint of pride in her eyes. From that moment on, I became firm in this idea. I wanted to always be my mother's pride. As my mother expected, in the 6th grade final exam I got full marks in Chinese, math and English. My mother praised me to everyone she met, saying, "Who says women are inferior to men? Yes, our Nan only got 300 points in the exam, that little head is so smart." Some people also ridiculed him that he was only in elementary school, and people said that the subjects in junior high and high school were the most difficult. Some people said that 6 years of elementary school was enough, and it was enough to be able to read. Send your Shangnan to work in a big factory in the county, and he can earn nearly 1,000 yuan a month. Mom sneered and said 1,000 yuan was nothing. Our Nan, however, is going to earn 10,000 yuan a month. He is smart and can go to school. Some people laughed at him and some people thought he was working hard. During the summer vacation after graduating from elementary school, a big thing happened. Aunt Xia next door came to my house and said she wanted to introduce a man to Mom. It's not Red. Fan's father died early, and it was not easy for you to raise him alone. Now there is another leftover man in the family. I heard that you are going to send him to college. He will only be in the 1st grade of junior high school when school starts in September, and it will take another 6 or 7 years to get to college. Find someone to help you and you two can support each other. Life was easier now. My brother sat on the chair, not saying a word. After a long time he said, "Mom, I'm fine with it." I looked at Mom and saw a touch of emotion in her eyes. "Mom, then let's meet him," I said with a wink. Aunt Lu was very fast. The next day the man came with bags. Aunt Lu couldn't stop smiling. He pulled my mother aside. Zhang Wo was a reliable person, but he was the dumbest. He couldn't speak. He was almost 40 and still couldn't get married. He said he didn't care. He would definitely treat Fan and Xingnan as his own children. In the future, it doesn't matter whether you have children or not. Mom seemed very satisfied. This man named Zhang Wo blushed slightly. This was just the beginning. He hadn't even started yet. From then on, there was one more person's bowl and chopsticks on our dining table, and one more person in the house. After Li Jiangguo came, my mother was really much more relaxed. He always rushed to do the work in the fields. Damn, my mother spent more time taking care of my brother and me. It seemed that such a plain life was not bad, but there were always people who didn't want me to get what I wanted. Li Jiangguo was really good when he first came. He would buy beautiful little skirts for my mother and me, and buy bracelets and necklaces for my mother. But gradually, I found that his eyes were always glancing at me intentionally or unintentionally. Once when I was changing clothes, he even walked into my room without knocking. Nan began to develop, and her breasts grew a lot. I didn't say anything, but hurriedly picked up a piece of clothing and put it on myself. Not long after, my mother became pregnant. Aunt Xia next door always said to me, "Your mother is pregnant, and she will give birth to a big fat boy, and she won't want you anymore." I choked in my throat, but couldn't say anything. But when I thought about it, I was 12 years old now. Even if my mother didn't want me anymore, the grace of raising me for the past 6 years, I am already grateful enough. At the age of 12, I can support myself and go to the factory to work on the assembly line as my aunt said. After hearing this, my mother yelled and rushed out of the door. I said, "How can you be so mean saying these things in front of a child? Are you so idle because you have finished the housework? If you have nothing to do, come to my house to pick up manure and see if it is the manure in my house that stinks or your mouth." Xie Shenxi left angrily and closed the door of his house silently. After scolding, my mother glared at me again and said, "You believe everything others say. Do you have a brain?" My nose was sour and I almost held back my tears. At the dinner table, Li Jianguo mentioned my reading for the first time. He looked at my mother for a long time, put the chopsticks in his hand on the table, thought again, and then said, "Let me tell you, the book about leftover men should either graduate from junior high school or finish these 9 years of compulsory education. Otherwise, think about it, if you go to high school or even college you have to. No matter how much money it costs, I can't make that much money even if I swing my hoe until it smokes." Mom slammed the chopsticks on the table with a bang. "I don't care what people outside say. Why do you say that to me? I'm going to say this today. Nanan must study. If she can make it, then she can. If not, then we can get a divorce. I can raise 2 children by myself." Li Jianguo finally agreed with Mom's decision and never said another word. At night, I lay in bed tossing and turning, unable to fall asleep. I was thinking about the neighbors and what Li Jianguo said. 3 years of junior high school, 3 years of high school, and 4 years of college. If I want to continue studying, the burden on Mom's shoulders seems to be heavier. At this moment, there was a rustling sound outside the door. Since I was in the 3rd grade of elementary school, Mom moved all the things in the warehouse out and used it as a bedroom for me. She even pasted pink wallpaper on the wall. Even the curtains and bed sheets were pink. I still remember what she said, "What girl doesn't like pink?" The noise outside disrupted my thoughts, and the noise seemed to be getting louder and louder. With the creaking sound of the door opening, the moonlight stretched the shadow of the person at the door longer and longer. I gathered the quilt and couldn't help but shrink inside. A smell of sweat hit me. The man pressed on me, and the heavy weight almost made me breathless. I stared at him, countless thoughts churning in my mind, and my heart was pounding. I wanted to yell, but then I thought of my pregnant mother. If I yelled, would I still be able to stay at home in the future? Will my mother choose me, or the man in front of me? I didn't dare to gamble. I could only hold the quilt tightly and bite my lower lip to prevent myself from making any sound. In a panic, Li Jianguo broke the glass on my bedside table with a clang, which was particularly harsh in the quiet night. Li Jianguo held his breath, and I was so scared that I didn't dare to breathe. Panting, the next second the lights came on, Mother's eyes were red. She cursed, beast, you shall not die." Well, for a moment, I could not tell whether Mother was scolding me or Li Jianguo. I buried my head in the quilt, dared not look at Mother again. "Meihong, listen to me. I just came to see if Shangnan has covered herself with the quilt." Well, bang. The sound of a heavy object falling. I pulled open the quilt and stuck my head out. The broom in Mother's hand had fallen. "On, Li Jianguo, you beast, you dare to touch my daughter. I must beat you to death today." I came to my senses, only to find that tears had already wet my cheeks. Li Jianguo fled. Where he went, I don't know. At least during my 2-month summer vacation, I never saw him again. Mother dropped the broom. His eyes were red, glaring at me. "Are you dumb? Are you dead? Don't you know how to shout?" "Mom, I dare not." After saying this, I lowered my head again, but I didn't dare to. I was afraid that my mother would abandon me if she knew. My mother was silent for a long time, then sat down beside the bed and took me into her arms. I buried my head in my mother's arms. My mother's arms made me feel safe and satisfied more than anything else I had. The meals I had eaten in the past few years had been in vain. I didn't dare to resist when someone bullied me. "When I go out, don't say that I am Lu Meihong's daughter." At this moment, I finally knew that I was also the one who was firmly chosen. The next morning, my mother took me to the hospital. I didn't understand at that time. I didn't know until I took the physiology class in junior high school that my mother went to the hospital to remove the fetus in her belly. My mother was extremely weak when she came out of the operating room, and her lips were pale without a trace of blood. In the afternoon, my mother took a hoe and went to the field. The gossipy Aunt Xia didn't say a word to me. She just asked me where my mother had been. I learned from her that my mother had gone to the field after that. She said, "You are such a carefree child. Your mother just had an operation in the morning. How can she go to the fields in the afternoon? Go and call your mother back. It's the same as giving birth. She has to stay in the confinement period. Otherwise she will have a root of illness in the future." He held my hand and we hurried to the field. The summer sun was particularly strong. I had just walked for a while when my back was wet with sweat. I snatched the hoe from my mother's hand. "Mom, you had an operation. Does it hurt?" My mother glared at Aunt Xia and wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes. "Mom, it doesn't hurt, don't cry." When I got home, I threatened my mother for the first time. "Mom, if you don't stay in the confinement period, I won't go to school." My mother was very angry at first, but then she looked at me with a smile. Isn't it okay for me to do it? You have to study hard. I also hope that you will support me in my old age when you have a bright future. This time I was sincerely grateful to Aunt Xia. Even if she mocked me again, I didn't say another word. Rural women, most of them are like this. They are gossipy and enthusiastic. They can't bear to see you do well, but they don't want you to suffer. Naturally, cooking fell on my head. Mom and brother complained that the food I cooked was unpalatable all day long, but they were very polite and ate it all, under the pretext of not wasting food. The 2-month vacation passed by neither fast nor slow. Mom cleaned up, put on her favorite blue skirt, and put some gel on her hair. She sent me to school and made my bed for me. This is your pocket money this week, you have to spend it sparingly. It's not easy for me to make money. The living expenses for junior high school are paid to the school. 300 yuan per semester. I go home once a week while living on campus. Mom gives me 10 yuan pocket money a week, which is enough for me. From going home every day at the beginning to going home once a week now, I'm a little uncomfortable, especially when lying on the bed in the dormitory in the evening. I miss the taste of home especially. Every noon, that is when I am happiest. Xingnan, I seem to have seen your mother today. She was selling sesame cakes on the street. This was seen by a day student accidentally. Later I learned that when I was in school, my mother set up a stall in the town and started selling sesame cakes. She got up before dawn every day to knead dough, and set out for the town at dawn. She would go home in the afternoon to prepare dinner for my brother. After dinner, she would go to the fields to do farm work. My heart was sour. I could not describe the feeling, but I always felt that even breathing became difficult. If it weren't for me, would your mother's life be much better than it is now? I shook my head and got rid of this idea. All I can do now is study hard and get into the key high school in this city. At another parent-teacher meeting, my mother stood on the podium. Obviously, she was not as restrained as she was the first time she went on stage. A smile rippled on her face, and when it spread to the ends of her eyebrows, you could see faint eye wrinkles. As long as the students focus on learning like our Nan Nan, they will definitely succeed. We'll be as great as our Nan Nan. Auntie believes there are no stupid children in the world. I don't know when it started, but Mom started to have white hair and some wrinkles on her face. Time flies so fast. 9 years have passed in a flash. I just hope time won't pass so fast. I don't want Mom to grow old so fast. The results of the high school entrance examination came out. There were a total of 10 subjects with a full score of 780. I scored 738 points, ranking first in our grade and third in the whole county. With this score, it will be no problem for you to get into the number 1 middle school in this city. Mom smiled from ear to ear and I knew that you could do it. Our Nan Nan is a natural student. Aunt Xia said, it's just junior high school. High school is really difficult. Mom glanced at him, my Nan Nan, and you said the same thing when you were in elementary school. Mom was happy and didn't argue with him. He walked into the chicken coop and picked out the fattest hen. He cooked half of it for you and your brother, and made soup with the other half for you, not to mention 2 chicken legs, 1 for my brother and 1 for me, and 2 chicken wings, 1 for my brother and 1 for me. Mom picked up the potato pieces in the bowl and kept muttering to herself, I just don't like meat. The potatoes are so flavorful and delicious. It was not until I was in the kitchen and saw Mom eating the leftover chicken from my brother and me that I realized that Mom really liked meat. From then on, my brother and I lied that we couldn't eat so much meat. Seeing more and more meat left in the bowl, Mom frowned and asked, what's wrong with you 2 siblings? Your appetite has not been very good recently. The next day, Mom was in a panic and wanted to take me to the hospital. Mom, we are really fine. This has become a secret between my brother and me. During the vacation after the high school entrance examination, I wanted to work on the assembly line for 2 months to help Mom reduce some of the burden. Unexpectedly, Mom rejected me outright. Look at your little arms and legs. You are not cut out for work. You should just stay at home and study hard. As expected, number 1 middle school really extended an olive branch to me. The tuition was free for 3 years of high school. Mom took my admission letter and read it again and again. There was an eagle soaring in the sky printed on it. Mom smiled and said that our Nan Nan was just like this eagle. How could such a small village trap him? At that time, I didn't understand what my mother meant by this. After dinner, my mother took my admission letter and walked around the village again and again. You haven't seen the admission letter of number 1 middle school, right? Look at the school drawn on it, how magnificent it is. It is suitable for our Nan Nan. Aunt Xia joked that high school costs money. Be careful that you spend money. Your Shangnan still can't get into college. I heard from my daughter that it's not worth getting into a second-tier university now. At least you have to get into that 911 school. You also have to take the postgraduate entrance examination to find a job. Mom's expression was a little arrogant, and there was a hint of smile between her excited brows. What 911? They are 985 and 211. My mother changed her mind and continued, You don't know yet, our Nan's 3 years of high school tuition are all exempted. I just need to give him living expenses in less than an hour. Everyone in the village knew the news. During the 2-month vacation, my mother was grinning all day long. She also joked with me and my brother all day long. I have energy to work now. My brother looked up, and I could see that he was a little excited. He said, our Nan is great, even better than my brother. Study hard. He lowered his voice and asked me to study hard as well. My brother's mood seemed to have improved a lot. He always asked me to push the wheelchair and take him for a walk in the village. We walked from the head of the village to the end, past a small river. The trickle of water gurgled through, stirred up layers of waves, and also caused ripples in my heart, and then past a wheat field, a scene of bumper harvest. The next day my brother borrowed a book from his former classmate, saying that it was for me to prepare for high school homework in advance. My brother is always like this. Although he doesn't talk much on weekdays, he always helps me remember many things silently. If mother's love is deafening, then brother's love is subtle and silent. Brother Nan has never been to high school, and the next homework will depend on you. Time passed in the blink of an eye, and it was time for me to go to school. Mom started preparing the night before and she kept muttering, "This is pickled mustard for you, and there is some bacon left over from last year's New Year. I've cooked them all. Take them out when you want to eat them at school. There is also a box of milk sent by the village party secretary. Here are your clothes for changing, and here are your underwear, sanitary napkins, etc. Here is a bottle of water I bought in town last time. The salesperson said it is for hydrating the face. Girls of your age love beauty. I don't need this thing to pack it for you anymore. Remember to apply it every morning and evening. The city is not as good as our town. You should pay more attention to your health on weekdays. Eat when you should and don't think about saving money. You are in the period of growing up. By the way, this is the mobile phone I bought for you. Remember to call home whenever you have time." I couldn't hear what my mother said later. I just remember big tears falling and hitting my arm. "Hey, why are you crying? You are going to be a 16-year-old girl soon. I will not be stingy with my love anymore." I rushed over and hugged my mother. My mother patted my head with a choked voice. "It's just going to school and I come back once a week. What's there to cry about?" Early the next morning, my mother took me on the bus to the city. My high school career officially began. I thought I would still be brilliant and still be a top student in the eyes of my classmates and teachers, but the reality taught me a hard lesson. First lesson, my high school entrance examination results are nothing in this school. In the first baseline test, I scored the second to last in the class. I felt like I fell into an ice cave, and I felt cold from my heart to the soles of my feet. I wanted to climb out, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't climb out. I really couldn't bear this huge sense of gap. I often doubted myself, wondering if it was really like what they said, that my mother was wasting time and money to send me to high school. I fell into deep self-blame. At night, I lay in bed with the mobile phone my mother bought for me, a brand new Nokia. My mother always complained that her mobile phone buttons didn't work, and the sound of the receiver was unclear. I even doubted myself whether I was not worthy of using such a good mobile phone. After wiping away my tears, I sent a text message to my mother. After a long time until I fell asleep, my mother still didn't reply to my message. I think she should be disappointed in me. A week passed and the classmates seemed to be able to understand what the teacher said easily, but I seemed to be listening to a book without words. I obviously listened very carefully, but I still couldn't understand. I wanted to cry, but I couldn't. When I was devastated, my mother sent me a message saying, "Nan, a bad test doesn't prove anything. Mom has never been to school and doesn't know how to comfort you, but you will always be the best in her heart." I found out later that my mother didn't deliberately not reply to my text messages. She didn't know Pinyin or Wubi typing. It was my brother who taught her Pinyin. She figured it out for a week before sending me these words. Immediately, tears couldn't stop flowing. When my tears dried up, I cheered up again. If I didn't understand, I would ask. I asked my classmates and teachers. I used Nokia and met an older sister on Tieba. She was also a student of number 1 middle school. I saw her on the honor roll. Photos, she told me, she and I were the same, wanted to prove herself when we first arrived at school, but was caught off guard by the reality. But after calming down and finding a study method that suits her, everything will get better. I guess she can be regarded as my motivation to move forward. The senior sister is really excellent. The courses in the first year of high school are relatively not too many. I always ask her about some content that I didn't understand in class after class, and she would write down the problem-solving process on a draft paper and send it to me. In the final exam of the first year of high school, I went from the second to last to the 15th from the bottom. In the second year of high school, the classes were divided into arts and sciences. My brother, senior sister, and I discussed it and chose science. First, we don't have so much time now for me to memorize, and second, science subjects are relatively easy to find jobs, so I gave up the 3 subjects I was standing at attention for. With fewer subjects, my pressure was much less. I don't know how the people in the village got to know my grades, And they started again. I said, high school is the most difficult. Meihong, I think your money is going to go down the drain. Once I went home for the Dragon Boat Festival, I saw Li Jiangguo at home again. He crossed his legs and looked at my mother with a smug look on his face. What do you think? Have you thought about it clearly? My mother's face was extremely bad. The moment she saw me, her expression eased slightly. He tried his best to restrain his anger. Li Jiangguo glanced at me lightly. Meihong, why do you work so hard as a woman? I don't dislike you for having a daughter, nor do I dislike your son with a broken leg. If you miss this village, you will miss this store. My brother's lips trembled and he shouted sternly, get out quickly. After that, he took out 1,000 yuan from his arms and threw it at Li Jiangguo's face. Did you hear me? Get out quickly. So fucking unlucky. My mother spit it. After Li Jiangguo walked away, my mother asked my brother, where did you get so much money? My brother smiled faintly. I told you that you can make money by playing computer games. You still don't believe it. I knew about this at first. My brother nagging for a long time before mom agreed to buy him a computer. How did mom make money? Mom suspected that he was playing games for you. My brother sighed. However, the money was originally intended to tutor Nan Nan. But it's okay. I can make 200 to 300 for each order now. If I'm lucky, I can finish it in one day. I suppressed the sadness in my heart. I have been in this family for 9 years. Mom and brother always consider me, but I have to give up myself because of a test result. Mom is worried and reminds brother a few words. I don't understand the things on the internet, but you must not do anything against your conscience, and you must not lie to others. My brother repeatedly assured him, and mom was relieved. At the end of the 3-day Dragon Boat Festival holiday, my brother gave me a bank card with 1,300 yuan in it. You can use 1,000 yuan for tutoring, and there are 300 yuan left. Buy some things you want. Mom pushed me away when she saw I didn't take it. I said, take it, it's a gift from your brother. You can just make more money for your brother in the future. It would be even better if you can help your brother find a girlfriend. Later I found out that this was the 2,000 yuan that my brother saved by secretly taking coaching orders day and night. He gave 1,000 to Li Jiangguo to pay him back for the things he bought for me and mom so as to avoid gossip. He gave the remaining 1,300 to me, and he didn't have a penny left. My brother is 27 this year. People of the same age as my brother in the village already have sons. My brother smiled, shook his head and said he was not in a hurry and would wait until Nan Nan went to college. With the help of tutoring and senior students, I gradually found the way to study and my grades improved by leaps and bounds. In the final exam of my second year of high school, I was ranked 10th in the class and 108th in the grade. After the exam, my mother pushed the wheelchair and waited for me with my brother at the school gate. After he saw me, he waved to me. Nan Nan, here. I looked at the large and small bags behind my mother and widened my eyes. Without waiting for me to speak, my mother continued, Nan Nan, your brother and I discussed it, and we decided to move to the city. First, it is convenient for you to make up your lessons. You still have your last year, and I don't want you to run back and forth between school and home. You might as well do a few more questions with this time. Second, I calculated that even in the village, I can only make tens of thousands of yuan by selling some grain in a year. It's better for me to find a job sweeping the floor and serving dishes in the city, which is also convenient for me to take care of you. I pushed my brother's wheelchair and my mother carried the bag. The house my mother asked someone to find is not far from the school, with 2 bedrooms and a living room. My mother gave her room to my brother and me, saying that she was afraid of disturbing us, and she slept on the floor in the living room. It was okay, I couldn't sleep for long anyway, and it wasn't comfortable. When you make money, you have to buy me a big house. It's too depressing to live in a small house. The next day, my mother got up early and went out to look for a job. I also tentatively asked my senior sister if there was a job suitable for my mother. It would be a pleasant surprise, but a little hard work would not matter. This job was not easy to find, so I would do it. My mother agreed immediately. My mother's new job was to take care of an elderly grandmother who couldn't take care of herself. Many people couldn't do this job, but my mother did it well. I changed from a boarding student to a day student. I could drink a bowl of chicken soup at noon every day and a bowl of hot milk every evening. Soon the senior year of high school started. I walked into the school. The national flag was flying in the wind, as if giving silent encouragement to us candidates. In the midterm exam of the senior year of high school, I ranked 35th in the grade. I knew you could do it. Nan Nan was a good student. Mom smiled and cried. The time for the college entrance examination was getting closer and closer. I was getting more and more nervous. My life or death depended on this one. Time was becoming more and more precious. I lay on the bed. My senior sister sent me the questions from previous years on my phone. I did them over and over again. The draft papers on the desk were piled higher and higher. The dense problem-solving ideas on the paper all proved that we were going all out for the most important exam in our lives. The hot summer, the scorching sun, the scorching earth, even my whole heart became scorching. The college entrance examination came as scheduled. Before the examination room, I suddenly remembered the winter when I was abandoned. So what if the wind was biting cold? Now I am surrounded by warmth, and the cold wind can no longer hurt me. I am growing up healthily under my mother's careful care. At this moment, I just want to repay my mother. The cicadas are singing loudly in the trees, as if they are applauding me in advance. I took a deep breath and went into my own world. The last exam was 2 days later. After the exam, I rushed out of the classroom. The school gate was surrounded by people, but I saw my mother and brother at a glance. I can relax after the exam. My mother smiled and never asked me how I did in the exam. Yes, I can relax now. I have been tense for 3 years. I looked at my mother seriously. Mom, brother, my mother looked nervous. I could see her swallowing saliva. I changed the subject and said I was done with the exam and felt good about myself. Mom slapped me and scared me to death. Your brother and I didn't dare to ask for fear of irritating you. You little bitch, you even lied to my mother and took my brother and me to KTV at night, under the pretext of letting me relax. Mom, what if I fail the exam? If I fail, I fail. If you still want to take the exam, we can repeat the year, 2 years or 3 years. This is my first time drinking beer, and it's in front of my mother. Under the instigation of when I was drunk, the waiter pushed a small cart from the door, on which was a delicate little cake, wishing our Nan Nan a happy birthday. Happy birthday. I realized that today is my birthday. I couldn't help but recall that in the 5 years at my biological parents' home, I never celebrated my birthday once, and almost forgot my own birthday. But at my mother's house, my birthday comes every year. The birthday gifts are not expensive, but they are all my mother's love for me. The day when the college entrance examination ends is my birthday. I think God may also give me a satisfactory answer. The day when the results are released, Mom took my brother and me back to the village. She brought the clothes she had saved and came to the river. Hey, your Shungnan's college entrance examination results are out. Have you checked and seen how she did? There are a lot of people by the river today and I haven't checked yet. There are still more than 10 minutes before I can check. A short-sleeved shirt, Mom washed it again and again. On the last wash, the time finally came to 12 o'clock. Hurry up, Shin, and check it. I took out my cell phone from my trouser pocket, my chest heaving violently, and my palms were covered with fine sweat. I turned on the speakerphone and finally a mechanical voice came from the phone, without a trace of warmth, which made me even more nervous. The total score was 652. How much? Did I hear it right? I pressed it again and played it again. Chinese 120, Mathematics 135, English 140, Comprehensive Science 257. The total score is 652. This number exploded in my ears again. I almost dropped my phone. Everyone was saying that my mother had worked hard for most of her life, and now she can finally live a good life. My mother dropped the clothes she was washing, rushed over to hug me and spun around twice. I'll tell you, our Nan Nan is a good student. 652 points. Do you know how valuable 652 points is? My mother's tears fell on my arm. I suffered a lot in the past 3 years of high school, but I know that my mother suffered more. Fortunately, the clouds cleared and the moon appeared. For a whole month, my mother was wandering around the village. Aunt Sia Meihong, have you had lunch? Mom, how did you know that our Nan Nan scored 652 points in the college entrance examination? Village Party Secretary Meihong, your good days are coming. Mom, Secretary, how did you know that our Nan Nan scored 652 points? In the end, I applied to a 985 university close to home. Time always flies quickly, especially the days at home. When I was a freshman, smartphones were popular. I bought one for my mother and taught her how to use WeChat, QQ and other communication functions. She always popped up a video message for me when I didn't have classes, asking if Nan Nan had eaten well, slept well and was in love. That day I received another video call from my mother. My mother looked mysterious and asked, Nan, your brother is in love? Is that true? I exclaimed. My brother's lifelong event has been settled. It's true. When you came back for the National Day, your brother said that his girlfriend was coming. I heard that she was a girl she met on some power playing order. I don't know if she is reliable. Is it an online romance? I laughed secretly. It turns out that my brother has quietly started an online romance. During the National Day holiday, I returned home. The girl in the yard looked familiar to me for a moment, but when I looked closely, I saw that the girl also looked at me. Senior sister is a leftover man. You see, fate is always so wonderful. I didn't expect that senior sister is actually an internet addict. Many years later, I also asked senior sister why she was with my brother. When I met your brother for the first time, I was indeed a little hesitant, but as we got to know each other slowly, I realized that your brother is really an excellent husband and the best choice. Besides, your brother's leg is healed, right? Indeed, now I can often see my brother and sister-in-law showing their love on WeChat moments. During my 4 years in college, I went to school and worked part-time, and with the pocket money my mother gave me since junior high school, I also saved a lot of money. On this day, I made a decision. I kept it a secret. I went to the sales office with all the family members and bought a 2-bedroom apartment. Of course, my mother's name was on the property certificate. When I handed the red book to my mother, she didn't speak for a long time. When I looked at her again, I realized that her eyes had already turned red. "You prodigal child, how could you be like this? You have to save up a dowry for yourself." "Mom, I am only 22 years old this year, and I don't even have a boyfriend. What do I save for a dowry? I am already an old maid. So what? I just want to stay with my mother every day. I just want to be a mama's girl." Our family's new life officially began. I took my mother to take the subway, took a plane, ate McDonald's, saw the sea, went to Yunnan, Sichuan, and Xinjiang. Next year's New Year's Day, I plan to accompany my mother to travel abroad. As for my brother, he is busy on his honeymoon with my sister-in-law.